fully electric car has come a long way compared to even 10 years ago. The range, the performance, the technology. I cannot believe what I've just witnessed. This is changing the game.
Ford just wrote off $5 billion in EV losses. Volkswagen shut down 3 factories. And the average new electric car in America still costs $55,000. Meanwhile, in China, a brand new EV just launched for $18,000, runs without a single gram of lithium, and already passed every safety test the industry has. So what exactly does the West think is going to happen next? Section 1. The bill that keeps getting bigger. Let's talk about what lithium has actually cost you, because this isn't some abstract chemistry story. It's a money story, and the numbers are genuinely ugly. Think of the battery pack sitting under an electric car like a receipt you never got to see. It's been the single most expensive part of the vehicle from day one, eating up roughly 40% of what you pay at the dealership. Nobody designed it that way on purpose. That's just what happens when an entire industry bets its future on a material that's rare, hard to reach, and priced like it's having a mood swing. Between 2020 and 2022, lithium carbonate shot up by a factor of 13 in 24 months. Then it crashed by over 70% the very next year. But here's the part that actually hit your wallet. Car manufacturers couldn't hit their price targets. Governments couldn't plan charging infrastructure around a material doing roller coaster impressions. And every single time that supply chain hiccuped, it was the person standing in a showroom who ate the cost, wondering why a family hatchback suddenly costs as much as a down payment on a house. So here's what that looks like right now, today. The average new EV in America runs about $55,000. In China, that number is $24,000, and it's been falling for 2 straight years, while American prices went the other direction. Why does that gap matter to you? Because it means the thing you've been waiting for, the moment EVs finally get affordable, already happened. It just happened somewhere else. One side of this equation is still running on a material priced at $50 to $80 per kilowatt hour. The other side just found something that costs $19, and the fix didn't come from Detroit, Stuttgart, or Silicon Valley. Section 2. The recycling crisis. Nobody warned you about, but that's not even the biggest problem hiding in this story. There's something happening right now that barely made the news, and it explains why the lithium era might be ending faster than anyone in the industry is ready for. Imagine every EV battery sold over the last decade as a ticking clock. After roughly 10 years on the road, that battery doesn't die. It just gets too weak for long trips. And packed inside that tired battery is a small fortune in lithium, cobalt, and nickel, worth serious money to recover. But only if you actually have somewhere to send it. China does. They've built over 85% of the world's battery recycling capacity. And since April 2026, the rule is simple. Spent packs go straight to the shredder, the metals get pulled out, and they go right back into new batteries. It's a closed loop, and it locks in their advantage for another generation. Now, think of the other side of that same story. The United States has no equivalent plan. None. Redwood Materials, the biggest recycler in the country, estimates the 5 million EVs already on American roads are quietly sitting on 2.25 million tons of recoverable battery metal. And the current strategy is basically to wait until those batteries actually die before figuring out what to do. Meanwhile, America keeps buying its processed lithium, cobalt, and nickel from China, the very same country building the machinery to recycle all of it domestically. Why should you care about a recycling plant on the other side of the planet? Because when lithium gets tight again, and history says it will, the West will be paying China for materials, while China quietly pulls its own back out of the ground it already used once. And here's the twist that makes the whole thing sting even more. The batteries China is racing to recycle hardest are the cheap lithium iron phosphate packs, the ones with barely any cobalt or nickel worth chasing. The economics genuinely don't work without a government mandate. So China made one. Not because it's profitable today, but because in 10 years it will be, and every kilogram they pull from a dead battery is a kilogram they never have to import again. That's what a 30-year industrial strategy actually looks like from the inside. Section 3. The $18,000 problem. Nobody in Detroit wants to talk about. So where does sodium actually come into all of this? Right here. And the timing is not a coincidence. Picture a regular sedan, nothing exotic. sitting in a dealership in China right now. It's called the Chang'an Nevo A6, and under the hood is a 45 kilowatt-hour sodium-ion battery with 0 lithium, 0 cobalt, 0 nickel anywhere in the pack. It costs $18,000. Inside, you get a massive floating infotainment screen, a full digital instrument cluster, voice-controlled AI, level 2 autonomous driving as standard, and soft touch materials throughout the cabin. Now picture parking that car outside on a night that drops to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Most EVs would wake up sluggish and range-starved. This one wakes up with 90% of its range still sitting there, something a Tesla Model 3 or a Volkswagen ID.4 simply cannot do. So here's the question every Western executive is currently avoiding in public. If you can build that entire car for $18,000 on a battery that costs $19 per kilowatt hour, what exactly is the business case for a $55,000 lithium EV? What are you actually paying for at that point? Increasingly, the answer is sunk cost. Supply chain overhead, long-term lithium contracts, gigafactories built for the wrong chemistry, engineering teams that spent a decade perfecting a technology that just got leapfrogged, and customers are starting to notice exactly what they're paying for. Battery prices globally have already dropped to an average of $108 per kilowatt hour, down 8% from last year and a new record low. In China specifically, lithium iron phosphate has hit $50 per kilowatt hour, literally half of what it cost 2 years ago. That's with lithium still in the mix. Now add sodium at $19 per kilowatt hour, and the floor doesn't just drop, it disappears. What happens to the price of a new EV when its most expensive part suddenly costs less than the sheet metal wrapped around it? Section 4. The trap Volkswagen, Ford, and GM all walked into. This is where the story stops being about chemistry and turns into something a lot more brutal to watch unfold. Western automakers spent the last decade going all in on lithium. Volkswagen committed to 6 gigafactories across Europe, built specifically for it. Ford partnered with CATL to license lithium technology for a factory in Michigan. GM signed long-term supply deals for lithium and cobalt. Stellantis, BMW, Mercedes, every single one of them built 5-year roadmaps, assuming lithium prices would ease down slowly on a timeline they could plan around and profit from. Nobody planned for a chemistry shift moving this fast, and now every one of those boardrooms is stuck with a choice that has no clean exit. Pivot to sodium now, and they're 5 years behind on the engineering, the supply chain, the manufacturing know-how, all of it. CATL spent over $1.5 billion and nearly a decade grinding through the materials science that makes sodium actually work at scale. You cannot shortcut that with a press release and a partnership announcement. Stay with lithium instead, betting on slow, gradual savings, and they're structurally incapable of matching a Chinese sodium EV on price in open competition. Classic innovator's dilemma, and it's playing out behind closed doors in every single one of those companies right now. But here's the actual gut punch. CATL, the company whose batteries power most Western EVs, is the exact same company that just commercialized sodium. So Ford's own Michigan plant runs on CATL-licensed lithium technology, while CATL itself has already moved on to the next thing. The company the West depended on to stay competitive just quietly walked out the door and started building the future somewhere else. Section 5. The geopolitical angle that should be keeping people awake. And this is where the story stops being about cars entirely. For years, the West's entire game plan against Chinese battery dominance came down to one move. Go get the raw materials yourself. Open new lithium mines in Nevada and Portugal. Chase down cobalt deals that skip the Democratic Republic of Congo. Build gigafactories on home soil so the processing happens locally too. Billions spent, all chasing the same goal. Get out from under a China that already processes roughly 80% of the world's battery metals, no matter where they were mined. Then sodium showed up and made almost the entire plan pointless overnight. Here's why. Sodium is the 6th most abundant element in the Earth's crust. You can pull it out of seawater, you can dig it out of ordinary salt deposits sitting on every continent on the planet. Nobody starts a geopolitical standoff over table salt, and this is the part that should genuinely sting if you're sitting in Washington. America is already holding some of the largest soda ash deposits on Earth. Wyoming alone has enough sodium carbonate to fuel battery production for generations. The raw material was never actually the problem. It was sitting there the whole time. What was missing was the factories, the engineering, and the certified mass production, and China built all three first. And they did it using a playbook that should feel familiar by now, because it's the same one every single time. Pick the material nobody else takes seriously. Fund the research through the years nobody believes in it. Grind through the manufacturing problems everyone else gives up on. Get to certified commercial production before any competitor is even close. Then scale, while the rest of the world is still arguing about whether it's real. The global sodium-ion market is projected to grow from $1.8 billion in 2025 to $12.5 billion by 2035, and grid storage alone is expected to grab nearly half of that by the end of the decade. That's not a niche product line anymore. That's an entire new energy economy, and right now it's being built almost entirely on Chinese soil, while the rest of the world watches it happen in real time. Section 6. What's already on the road and what's coming for your market. So, let's get concrete, because there's an exciting version of this story and an honest one, and you deserve both. The Chang'an Nevo A6 running CATL's Naxtra sodium pack is already in commercial fleet operation across China in 2026. CATL opened over 100 new battery swap stations in a single month, where drivers pull in and swap a depleted pack for a fully charged one in under 4 minutes. That's faster than filling a tank of gas. Li Auto, GAC Ion, and JAC are all deep into winter testing with sodium packs of their own, headed for production next. BYD is rolling out its own sodium chemistry aimed squarely at grid storage, targeting a manufacturing cost of 4 cents per watt-hour by 2027, which would make it the cheapest large-scale energy storage option that has ever existed. But what happened next outside China is where things get genuinely interesting depending on where you're watching from. In Australia, the BYD Auto One, a lithium car, already starts at $16,000, the cheapest new EV the country has ever seen. And that's before sodium pricing even reaches the export market. In the UK, the cheapest new car on sale right now, gas or electric, is already an EV at around $16,000. In Europe, EV prices fell 15% this year, and market share in Germany climbed back toward a third. Everywhere the market is actually open, the pattern is identical. Chinese competition, falling battery costs, and prices sliding toward the point where switching stops being an ideology and starts being basic math. The United States sits behind a 100% tariff wall keeping Chinese EVs out completely, which means American buyers are getting their cheap EVs the back doorway through collapsing resale values on used cars, not through actual market competition. New EV prices are still averaging around $55,000, while Chinese sodium cars are being announced at $18,000. Why does that gap matter to you if you're in the US? Because it can't hold forever. Not because the tariffs will crack, but because the technology gap underneath them keeps widening until ignoring it stops being an option. Section 7. The honest part. Before this turns into a victory lap for one side, here's what's genuinely still unsettled, because the story owes you that. Sodium ions are physically bigger than lithium ions, and that puts a hard ceiling on energy density that no clever engineering fully erases. For long-range premium cars, aircraft, and consumer electronics where every single gram counts, lithium isn't going anywhere. Sodium's real lane is urban driving, commercial fleets, grid storage, anywhere price and cold weather reliability matter more than squeezing out the last mile of range. That's an enormous slice of how the world actually drives, but it's not everything. The specialized hard carbon material that makes sodium chemistry work also hasn't reached the mature, standardized supply chain lithium spent 15 years building. Raw sodium is dirt cheap, but the processed anode material still causes yield problems at industrial scale, which means true cost parity with lithium iron phosphate probably doesn't land before 2027. So that $18 per kilowatt hour number is real. It's just a target, not the invoice price at every factory on Earth today.